Hey everyone, it's happy Wednesday. Welcome here to Techstrong Gang, where we're still going to fact check. Hey everyone, Alan Schimmel for Techstrong. Welcome to our show here for this fine Wednesday. I know across where many of you are here in the US here, it's cold. There's snow and wind and rains and cold temperatures. We even broke out sweaters down here in Florida. I hope wherever you are, you're safe, sound, and cozy. I made a little joke in the opening there about where we still fact check. If you haven't heard the news, Meta announced yesterday that they were going to stop fact checking. They're going to rely on crowdsourcing from the audience to comment on fact checking. And just real quickly, what a sorry state of affairs we've come to. I'm reminded of John Belushi on Saturday Night Live 25, 30 years ago, talking about, they smoke hash on the streets of Mexico, but no, we can't hear. How are we, what is this coming to? And we could blame Meta, but they're just doing what Twitter's, or whatever he calls it these days, is doing anyway, which is they don't fact check either. And maybe that's what we deserve. Andrew Clay Schaefer, one of the guys in the DevOps movement, always said, the DevOps you get is the DevOps you deserve. Well, the same thing holds true for social media and society. The social media you get is the social media you deserve. If we as a society are not going to hold our social media providers' feet to the fire about stop polluting our kids' minds and everyone else's minds with bull crap, then we get what we deserve. I'm going to step off my soapbox now, though, and introduce you to today's gang members. And if they want to comment on it, feel free, gang. First of all, we've got a brand new Techstrong Gang member to introduce you to today. Her name is Sulagna Saha. I hope I said it right, Sulagna, yes?
Yes.
Sulagna, welcome to our show. It's great to have you here on the gang. You know what? Introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you for having me, Alan. I'm Sulagna Saha. I just joined the Techstrong Gang as editor for Techstrong.ai, and I'm thrilled to be on the show.
It's thrilled to have you on here, and it's great to have you here. Speaking of editors, let me introduce you to another Techstrong editor. She's been here a while. Amanda Razzani. Well, she's edited just about all of our sites over the years and does a lot of special assignments too. And it's Amanda Razzani, like Mitchell says, like Razzani, like lasagna. I don't know how he thinks that rhymes, but whatever. Amanda, welcome to Techstrong Gang. It's great to have you here today, and Happy New Year. This is your first show of the new year, right?
It is. Happy New Year.
Good to have you. I might as well continue with the better looking group of our gang today before we get to the ornery guys. Joining us, I think she's in CES. Are you out in CES today, Lisa? Or we're out in CES?
Later today. I fly out later today, and I've got 2 full days on the show floor, and I cannot wait to get my Apple Watch rings to spin with all the steps I will be getting, seeing what's going on. But I've been following the coverage with all the keynotes. It's been amazing.
Very cool. It's our own Lisa Martin, marketing guru and, radio host now, iHeartRadio host, and entrepreneur with her own agency, and Techstrong Gang member. Lisa, thanks for joining us today. All right.
Great to be here.
Moving on from Lisa to the ornery group. Sporting his guitars again, Futurum VP analyst, Mitch Ashley. Hey, Mitchell, welcome.
Welcome from the Rocky Mountains, snowy Rocky Mountains in Denver, Colorado. We've gotten some snow over the last couple of days. So
I'm sure the ski people are happy.
Oh yeah.
Good for you guys. And then I don't know if there's snow up in New York. Is there, Mike? Our own chief content officer, Mike Vizard.
There was a brief coating the other day, but I do have a comment on this Meta thing. I think we need to bring back Sergeant Friday, just the facts, man. Dragnet on social media.
Facts and just the facts. So for extra points, what was Sergeant Friday's partner's name? It was Joe Friday and
Harry Morgan.
well, it was Harry Morgan. That was his real name. Yeah. All right. It was a close one, but you know, the facts would be nice, but the fact that our social media hyperscalers are just abdicating their responsibilities around this is a sign of the times.
Well, I think they're just abdicating their responsibilities around anything as much as possible. I get so frustrated with Facebook. Like, there's no customer service. There's no way to get help with anything. It's so frustrating.
Could be worse. You could be on X, Z, Twitter, whatever it is.
You know, Alan, I think we're just regressing back to bulletin boards. Essentially, that's what social media has become, is just a free for all. You know, comment on what you want. Maybe there's a moderator on it, but we
There's
don't
no
even have
moderators. There is no
we don't have that
moderators.
now, so we're less than
Well,
bulletin
that's
boards.
what made bulletin boards great, Mitchell. You had moderators who, though they didn't get paid, really gave a crap. And
Maybe
made
AOL
sure
chat
they
rooms
kept
is a
it.
better analogy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I just, you know, we're devolving into a society of whoever screams the loudest.
All right. Well, we
And the
can't
most.
agree to what a fact is either on social media or off social media. So, you know, it's just a reflection of the time.
Yeah.
Good point.
Sad.
Touche.
What a sad state of affairs. Anyway, let's move on from that, and we'll try to keep it factual as best we can here today. Mike, we've got some news. Well, CES, as Lisa mentioned, is chock full of crazy, futuristic, and that's what makes CES, right? AI-empowered robots. It's a thing.
Yeah. Jensen Huang was the leadoff keynote, and he was talking about how they're going to help companies overcome the limitations of physical environments when it comes to building robots and AI. And the issue is when you go build an AI app, it doesn't really understand the laws of physics. So they're trying to create a virtual environment so that if you create a robot, it will understand that it can, if it hits something, that there's going to be some resistance to that force, and therefore, you know, it should be avoided. But it can calculate what the impact of that is. And today, if you go do that, you have to actually go build a robot or the car or whatever it is and smash it into something about 100 times for it to learn. So they're trying to do that in a virtual environment. And the goal is to reduce the cost of creating all these robots so that they will be millions of these things ultimately. And then the second thing they talked about, which, you know, was kind of a little more immediate to some folks maybe, is they want to go build something called Project Digits, which is a $3,000 desktop system that combines ARM processors and NVIDIA GPUs for data scientists and developers to go build either these new types of AI apps or any type of AI app for that matter. And so if you look at it, it seems like we're trying to say that there are like, you know, if you listen to how he presented it, he said there's multiple classes of robots, right? Gen AI is a type of robot for software, and now we're going to have all these physical robots. Some of them include cars, and some of them include actual robots, and robots will come in all sizes and shapes, as we've seen at CES already. So I don't know, Alan, are you ready for the robot era?
I would feel better if we had a law of robotics, right? Like in Asimov's law of three rules, then the zero law of robotics, because I do think we're going to need to have some. It would be good if we got out ahead of this. You know, Gen AI burst on the scene, and Elon Musk and all these people were signing the letter about we should stop development. It could be terrible until they got their money into it and got their deal with it. But it would be nice if we put some parameters on robotics right now with AI, because I do think there is, you know, room for a lot of. Think about it, you could have clone wars, right? An army of clones. You don't have to send soldiers anymore. So if some dictator, tin pan dictator here in the U.S. or somewhere else wants to call out the troops, and he's worried about whether American troops would fire on American citizens, well, you don't have to worry about that if you've got an army of robots. And that's a scary thought. That's a scary thought. On the other hand, I thought the C in CES stood for consumer electronics. And, you know, dev computers or hyped out GPU dev machines doesn't really seem like a consumer product to me. But look, Jensen loves a keynote.
They're making a
Absolutely.
case for providing the tools for everybody to go build both industrial and consumer toys, right? CES is still a great toy fair of our times. And, we've seen a bunch of those robots being demonstrated this week. But ultimately, though, I think you're right about not just the soldiers, but just simple liability issues. Let's say I had a robot that's minding my child, right? We talked about this in an episode last year. The robot goes haywire and something bad happens to the child. Who's liable for that kind of thing? And I don't think we've thought all that through at all.
I see robots in a different use case, I guess. Like when I think about robotics, I'm excited about the dangerous, like rescue missions and things like that, that you could put robotics to help people in caved in tunnels, rescue missions. And like we have an article on Digital CXO about window cleaning on sky rises and things like that, that they're putting robots to use for. So I think about those, and I think that would be pretty exciting to have more robots in the more dangerous fields.
I don't know. I just have visions of Mitchell and I dressed as Laurel and Hardy, winding up the March of the Wooden Soldiers, with big, scary teeth. And what do you say, Mitchell? Oh, I don't know, Laurel. Anyway.
Well, we could be not too far away from the real life RoboCops, right? So
Yeah.
I just feel like we're living every science fiction movie we've seen, right? Any of our favorites, whether RoboCop,
Terminator,
Foundation, or whatever, Terminator, you name it. And in many ways, we are. Sci-fi does predict a lot of our future for us. And you've said many times, I've said the same thing, which is, this train don't stop, right? We're not stopping the AI train to say, well, wait a minute, what's the right thing to do? We'll bolt on things later, maybe, hopefully, before it's too late. There's the industrial path of this. There's the kind of worker path of this. You were talking about that, Amanda, about taking on dangerous jobs and things like that. Certainly, great applications for it. There's the personal side of now my Zoom thing on the floor can also pick up my socks because it's got an arm to go pick up something. Okay, I appreciate that, but I've got a lot more than socks to pick up. My problem's a lot worse than that. But what's part of, to me, where we're kind of collapsing the consumer versus tech and industrial is putting AI on the desktop, not just in consumer devices, but the announcement of the the CV20 chip based system that's a supercomputer on your desktop to do essentially real AI, not just development, but some level of operations. You can imagine where that's going next, to deploy AI out to the edge. A signal that, if they weren't thinking about it that way already, NVIDIA very much is not just a chip company, but they are an application of AI all throughout the supply chain.
Well, that's what they want to be, Mitch.
That's what they want to be, and they're certainly got the money.
Something has to justify
They've got the stock price to do it right now.
Yeah, you got to do something for a $3 trillion valuation, and I think what you're seeing is Jensen Huang and the rest of the brain trusts. They're recognizing that they're not going to have that kind of sustainable growth just making chips. They've got to own the ecosystem.
Well, don't make the
and they got to
Intel
create
mistake too. Just make the chips, right? You want to own the whole ecosystem,
right? And they were doing it with software, right? The whole, I forget the name now of their open source, CUDA, right? Kind of owning that, but now they're going to be, I wouldn't be surprised to see them making robots at some point.
Absolutely, I think so. And software, that runs on the Apple Vision, to be able to train those models, do it more effective, cost effectively for real world applications.
We've talked about in the past the need for some sort of Manhattan project for AGI. I might counter and say we need a Manhattan project for AI safety protocols, because it seems like one of the things that comes around here is that these LLMs are, I guess, programmed in some level to try to get around the safety protocols as much as they possibly can in the interest of fulfilling their mission. And the machine doesn't reason between the why of the safety protocol. It just kind of goes to execute whatever it is that it's being asked to do. And it seems to get around these safety protocols that people are trying to put in place. So I think we have a big problem here in terms of the safety protocols that are in place seem to require a lot more R&D work than has been done thus far.
Laws of robotics.
To that point, Mike, they're finding that what models have been trained on are very difficult to get it to do other things. I saw an example where someone was trying to get the GPT models to create an image of a set of clocks or watches that are set to 5 past 10 p.m. Noon, and you could do it with a lot of work, but it's been trained on so many pictures, so many images of watches and clocks that are set till 10 after 10 p.m. because that happens to be a very visual pleasing way to present watches and clocks, with the arms kind of pointing up like that. And to get it to do something that is so ingrained, and now we're realizing, oh, that's something that it's been trained so many times with so many instances of data. To get it to do something else is really difficult. What other things like that have been programmed or trained into these models, right? We're just discovering that.
Hey guys, I feel like we're in a STEM class and we've got half the class of women and they're not participating. So
Yeah, no, shut up.
let's
I'll be
hear from Sulagna. Let's hear from Lisa. Amanda, you chimed in a bit. What do you ladies think?
One of the things that caught me, sorry, Sulagna, is
No, go ahead.
the NVIDIA partnership with Toyota for the next gen of vehicles. It looks like to me that this is a new focus for NVIDIA from a go-to-market perspective to focus on the automotive industry. Ellen, you bring up the point that CES is the consumer electronics show, but NVIDIA is a household word. It's all over the news every day. I know that happens here in Silicon Valley. I'm sure it's happening elsewhere as well. And what I also heard, I had a lot of colleagues that were there. I watched it from the comfort of my backyard last night. There was like a 2-hour wait to get in, and that Mandalay Arena seats 12,000 people. So presumably it was full. So it was nice to hear a jam-packed keynote, probably one of the most jam-packed with announcements I've heard in a long time. Of course, Jensen came out in his star-studded, very Vegas-style black leather jacket. But I think the interesting thing is what they're doing there to really kind of expand their go-to-market. Like I said, with automotive industry, with what they're doing with robotics, I think it's exciting to hear where they're going so that they can grow and scale. And to your point, it is about owning the ecosystem. That's something that they're doing with top partners, and they do it really well.
Fair. Sulagna, you were going to say something?
I was going to touch on the responsibility part of it. So companies, the problem is made worse by the fact that companies have a vested interest in bypassing the laws, and so like until the power consumption became a problem, no one was thinking about green data centers or responsible AI. So I think it'll be a few more years before we start to see this heading down the way where companies are more mindful of following the laws and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lag time for society and the legal system to catch up to technology. We've spoken about this in the past, and I think that's what we're dealing with. But look, Lisa, I can't wait for you to get out there and give us a report from CES.
I know. Friday's show is going to be all jam-packed because there's so much there. It's amazing.
Can you do me a favor? You mentioned Toyota. I got some invite from BMW because I'm a BMW driver, that they have some cool stuff going on at CES. I'd love to hear from you what
You got it.
what BMW's
What-
got planned.
I would love that. One of the three of the things that I'm really interested in and uncovering is from a consumer perspective, especially from my iHeartRadio gig, is what's going on with connected vehicles. What's differentiated BMW versus Toyota versus what other companies are doing. I want to understand what some of the really, really cool, just crazy gadgets are that people would be like, are you kidding me? And then I also want to understand more of those consumer goods that people are like, yeah, I would stand in line for that. So I've got my whole 2 days mapped out. So you'll get Friday's show will be jam-packed with what I uncover.
So Lisa, that sounds great. And that kind of gives us a segue into our next block that we're going to talk in here, which is your preview of what you've seen in CES so far. But before we do that, let's take a quick break here on Techstrong Gang. We're going to come back and talk more CES in just a moment.
Modernize your business to fuel innovation and elevate customer experiences. With the Builder Community Hub, AWS and its partner network provide essential tools for transforming applications and infrastructure to fully leverage the cloud. Discover free trials, in-depth demos, and essential resources to empower DevOps engineers and developers to deliver value faster and more reliably. Visit the Builder Community Hub to learn more.
Welcome back to Techstrong Gang. Let's dig into CES 2025, the consumer electronics show that draws hundreds of thousands of people into Las Vegas every year. The whole strip is taken over, and there are the widest spectrum of cool technology gadgets from a consumer perspective and an enterprise perspective we see as well. I'm very fortunate to get to go to the show this year. I'm leaving today, so I'll have 2 full days on the show floor. We talked about NVIDIA and A-Block, and one of the interesting things that Alan brought up was that this is a consumer show, yet it led off with NVIDIA, and it was a standing room only 12,000 seat arena where the rock star of enterprise AI, Jensen Huang, gave a great update about what NVIDIA is doing to expand into robotics, to expand in the automotive industry, et cetera. But there's some other really cool things that I'm particularly drawn to, and one of them is from Samsung. They've unveiled a number of very cool things I want to share with you guys about. They unveiled the Galaxy Book 5 Pro and Vision AI. What is that? It's a laptop that's integrated with Galaxy AI and to include AI Select from Samsung, which lets users much more easily search for information for something with just a click. So bringing that AI experience to the end user. They also announced Samsung. I'm a big Samsung TV fan. I've got several of them, but they announced their 2025 TVs. I wish I hadn't bought one a few months ago because Vision AI is now being included in their TVs. And it basically features a click to search feature that allows you to, if you're watching a movie, for example, to get information on a particular actor or background, whatever you're watching, without disrupting the experience. But what's further that they're doing from a TV experience, this is crazy, is they have unveiled Samsung Food. No joke. They actually announced this on Sunday. This is a feature of the 2025 TVs. It uses AI to recognize food on your screen and generate a recipe for it. But it can do more because there's also a Samsung Food mobile app. So if you're ordering groceries or food from restaurants through the Samsung Food mobile app, it will know that, and it can actually provide you with a list of things that you need or that you already have to make whatever recipes you're seeing on screen. So amazing technologies from Samsung. They've been doing great things for a while. So I'm very excited to see how that works and who is using it already. Also from a Samsung perspective, Bailey, the robot, the personal home assistant that's been rolling around the CES floor for more than 5 years now. Finally, we're hearing from Samsung. They gave a loose kind of nebulous, it's going to hit the market in the next 12 months. So I'm curious to Mitch's earlier point, can it do more than pick up my socks because I need that too? So lots of great things from Samsung, but also Toyota talking about rockets. They were vague in that, but it's so interesting to see some of these companies we know as car companies really branching out into literally outer space to bring us new technologies and opportunities. So that's just scratching the surface of what's going to be at CES.
Can I get a flying car?
I bet you can. I'm going to be looking for that, Alan. I'm going to sign you up.
Mike and Mitch and I, we're from the Jetsons age, man. I thought we'd have a flying car by now.
That folds into a briefcase. That's going to be one of the things I'm looking for.
All right.
Hey, I am excited about solving this first world sock problem, though, because I'm looking forward to throwing my socks around.
No, the issue is going to be not just can it pick up socks, can it find the lost socks that the washing machine ate?
Yeah.
You could do that. Now I'm all for it.
I wanted to find my keys, my wallet, my cell phone, and then I'm really
Well,
happy.
I've put AirTags on all that stuff.
Yes. I was going to say AirTags.
So Lisa, on the television thing, do you think that I'm gonna in the future, conveniently see an ad from, I don't know, Butterball Turkey followed by, some insight
Oh,
as to what
absolutely.
ingredients I need to go
Yes.
buy to make the perfect turkey dinner? Is that how this is all gonna come together?
I think so. I will let you know once I dig in more, but I think it's such an interesting slash weird development. But if there's a market for it, Samsung is all over it. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more interactivity with Vision AI from Samsung that's going to allow us to do a lot more than just food. But I think it's an interesting step in a direction that probably, with the popularity of mobile, delivery apps, I think they're tapping into something that's a pretty big market. And so I think we're going to be prepared to be, I don't want to say bombarded. I hope it's more subtle than that, but we're going to be given a lot of opportunities to buy
No,
turkeys.
I think
that's
from an
spot on.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
No, I think that's spot on, Lisa, because whether it's seeing the latest gadget or something they're talking about on the Today Show when they do one of those segments, or you're watching a show and KFC gets delivered and you pick your profile, right? I'm a DoorDash customer, I'm an Uber Eats customer, I'm a Best Buy. Great, I want to order that. And I don't have to go look it up in my app. I could say that thing I just saw, or what are you interested in? Here's a bunch of things that just were shown and I know you're interested in these topics. So I think it's going to really change the consumer experience of acquiring food.
I think
goods,
it
services,
opens all
things
kinds
like
of
that.
marketing, advertising, right? Forget food for a
Oh,
second,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
You're in someone's apartment and you see a TV or a stereo or something, and you move your cursor over and it says 361 added to my Amazon list. Bob,
Do they put in child protection so you don't get 52 orders from
Oh,
You might.
KFC?
yeah.
Here's-
Showing up?
Wait,
fine.
wait.
I think the research.
How much can it see as to what you might be doing? Am I going to be sitting in front of my television eating wings, and then the television's going to go, "You want some fries with that from Uber Eats?"
Yes, I imagine so.
That's the creepy part, though, right?
It is
But
creepy.
speaking of that, in terms of the vision perspective, sorry, Alan, something that I'm really excited to look at are these smart glasses that actually look like glasses. We saw Apple launch the Vision Pro about a year ago, the hefty price tag, although NVIDIA does have an interesting partnership with Apple using the Vision Pro, by the way. But we've seen these immersive headsets that are just not that the public isn't ready for that yet. Meta has launched not just its Quest Pro at a much cheaper price point for people that want to dabble into what is still nascent technology, but this holiday with the XR smart glasses that look like glasses. So you're getting this vision there's a ring that comes with it, and it helps you control kind of what you see without having to tap the frames.
That'd
So
be
I
cool.
think yes. And I think, we think about Google Glass from the last decade, and that people were concerned with, are you going to be recording me if I'm, in a pub with friends? This is an interesting
Well,
alternative, and I'm curious
Ray-Ban
what
has
the
had a
experience is.
similar. Ray-Ban
Ray-Ban with
has
Meta,
that.
yes.
Yeah, Ray-Ban and
Yes.
Meta have had that a while.
Yep.
I looked into it, but I need reader sunglasses, and they don't do it in readers yet.
Hey,
I'll
Alan,
inquire about that.
I just
Hey,
want
Alan, remember
Jarvis
when
with
we
the
were
British
kids
accent.
and we had comic books and the ad on the back of the
The
comic book was
X-ray ones.
X-ray glasses? Yeah.
Yeah, that used to set my adolescent imagination on fire.
Right next to the muscle building. Stanford Place.
Oh God! But I do think it's coming. Just
We're
a
heading to
quick
the
word.
Iron Man Jarvis AI,
Yeah,
That's
but
that's
on
where
the
we
issue
want.
of Samsung specifically, I got a bone here, my own personal thing. I wish they'd spend more time improving the durability and quality of their screens as much as they put into the gadgets and bells and whistles. I invested in a Samsung 8K, like their hottest TV 3 years ago now. And at 2 years and 2 months, it developed a green line running down. And I called Samsung and they said, they had me run through all the diagnostics. They said, yep, this is a very common thing. You need a new panel. I said, oh, okay, when can you come do it? They said, well, as soon as you can fork over the money because the panel only has a 2-year guarantee and you're at 2 years and 2 months. That Samsung is now my Zoom platform here in the office because I don't mind a little green line for my Zooms. But I went out and bought a Sony. And it's not 8K, but I do want to just call out that we all go for the shiny new objects, and a lot of the screen technology itself, 98-inch, 99-inch, 100-inch TVs, and all of this stuff, these panels. I actually had my Sony had to have service this past week too. The HDMI ports weren't working. So the guy came, took it off the wall, took off the back. It's the first time I've seen the innards of these machines. The panels are really thin, and there's a motherboard, power pack, and some fans. But they need to improve the durability, and they're a little bit, they're so advanced and so much going on. My Sony's a mini LED, but no one wants to be shelling out $3,000-$4,000 for a TV every 2.5 years.
I'll look into that, Ellen.
Yep.
Screen
Tell them
technology.
that was my 2 cents. I told it to them in their, survey form. Anyway,
I like the research aspect. I think out of everything you mentioned, I'd use that the most because like certain apps such as Amazon have a little bit of that where you pause when you're watching something and you can see who the actors are.
yeah, X-ray they call it.
information. But some of them don't. So for me, that would be helpful when I'm watching something to be able to pause it and get information about an actor
Or maybe a fact check even.
Oh, Mom.
Yes.
No, we don't want that. No.
I like it. Yeah, that's a great point, Amanda.
All I got to say is you better be really careful what you're doing in front of your television. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, they're already listening to us. I'll bring up something about shoes, a random conversation about shoes, and suddenly there's a commercial on the TV. It's not doing that.
Crazy. All right.
Actually, social media. Yeah.
Let's take a break, and we're going to come back here for our C block. What a great day on Techstrong Gang. We'll be back in a second. Hey, everyone. It's Sunny.
And share.
Ladies and gentlemen, tech enthusiasts, and future gazers, gather round. The biggest, boldest, most mind-blowing predictions for 2025 are coming your way at the Predict 2025 virtual event on January 9th.
Oh, Sonny, you're predicting something again. Last time you tried this, you said Laserdisc were the future. How'd that work out for you?
Hey, Cher. Not every prediction's a hit, but that's why we've got the real experts this time. Top analysts, visionaries, and tech leaders sharing what's going to rock our world in 2025.
So no Sonny predictions this time? No flying toasters making a comeback?
Very funny, Cher. But seriously, we're talking AI breakthroughs, cybersecurity game changers, the future of DevOps, cloud innovations, and so much more.
And what about my favorite prediction, a smart mirror that tells you how fabulous you look every morning? That's real innovation.
You're already ahead of the tech, Cher. But if you want to hear the really big stories in tech for 2025, you've got to tune in on January 9th. The event kicks off at 8:45 a.m. Eastern and runs until 2:30 p.m.
And the best part, it's all virtual. No stuffy conference rooms, no long commutes. Just grab your coffee, your laptop, and join us from anywhere in the world.
You know what else? It's not just predictions. It's insights, strategies, and a whole lot of fun.
Well, Sonny, if this event is as good as you say, maybe they'll finally name a technology after you, like the Sonny 2.0, predicting your jokes before you tell them.
That's a good one, Cher. But the real joke is if you're missing out on this. So don't miss Predict 2025.
That's right. Mark your calendars, January 9th, 8:45 a.m. Eastern. Be there or you'll miss the biggest scoop on the future of tech.
See you at Predict
2025.
Be there.
All right, folks, we're back with our final segment, and we're talking about, OpenAI is talking about a new model they have and touting their reasoning capabilities. It's capable of doing math and a certain amount of science, and it says it's about 20% smarter than the previous models. And we're seeing the rise of these AI robots and agentic AI. And a lot of that comes down to, well, just how smart are these LLMs? Sulagna is joining us today, and she wrote an article that looked into this for Techstrong AI. You should all check that out. But Sulagna, what is your sense of how smart are these reasoning engines going to be, and how smart are they going to get? Because some folks are saying, they're about as smart as a 5-year-old, and other people are saying, you can run your entire life off them. So
Yeah, Mike, I think we're at an interesting juncture right now. What we are witnessing is a drive for making AI more alive, more intuitive, and ultimately more useful. I've talked about this in my article that in the first wave, we saw companies going all in building passively good virtual assistants and then embedding that technology widely across products. Now we're seeing with companies like OpenAI and Google launching new versions of AI models that AI is moving up from being prompted to being more autonomous and more independent. And by no means they're 100% perfect still. AI reasoning can still be quite flawed, but they are much more improved than their predecessors. And these models, they have better reasoning capabilities. Some are claimed to even be at par with PhD students. That's what the makers are claiming. But reasoning engines give these AI agents the ability to reason through a problem, analyze the data, find meaning in it, make contextual analysis of requests, break down a complex problem into a series of small steps, and then transform it into intelligent responses or actions based on a rule set or logic. In short, they mimic human problem solving and task solving methods. So think things like finding meaning or exploring more than one reasoning path at once, or looking ahead and going back, or anticipating a problem in advance, or refining the steps and performances constantly to yield better results. That's how AI agents will be able to do mathematical reasoning, write perfect codes, and solve domain-specific problems in science, etc. Now, the fully autonomous AI agents may take still a little bit of time to arrive because, again, it's all in the experimental stages. But the natural progression of those agents and co-pilots and the evolution is definitely worth following.
I've been playing with the OpenAI. The model you're talking about is the O1 model, I assume, right? And
well, that's
And then O3, yeah, they recently launched O3, the
is O3
successor.
available now?
Yeah,
no,
already,
they're
yeah.
just showing that.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, because I've been using O1 for the last couple weeks now, and whether it's full of beans or not, I don't know. But when you give it a thing, it says thinking, reasoning. It tells you what it's doing while it's doing it. But what I found interesting is a lot of times I still go back to 4.0 because, like, if I wanted to draw a picture, O1 describes
Mhm.
a picture. It doesn't draw a picture. Um,
Right.
O1 seems to be more aware. Because it used to be, I knew that the OpenAI model was drawing on an LLM made up of stuff. It stopped collecting info in 2021, 23, whatever the year was, where it says, it seems like O1 supplements what it has there with what's available on the web currently. And I'll give you, for instance, in yesterday's show, we spoke, unfortunately, about the passing of our friend Amit Uran. And I wanted to do a little bit of an article on it, and I had asked O1 to help me write a tribute with Amit. And though it had plenty of information on Amit, it refused to write it. It said because it could find this was before it was publicly announced, it could find no public announcement confirming his passing, and therefore refused to write it, which I thought was pretty sophisticated, right? That because it wasn't just what it had in its LLM, it actually went out on the web to verify that. And that was a step further than I've ever seen the AIs go.
Definitely, like with each generation, these models are becoming more thoughtful, and definitely that's something that I would see as a progress.
We're seeing research happening right in front of our eyes, right? These are things are changing so quickly. The way I see the market is you really have the people who are pushing the latest, really advancing the technology, right? Coming out with the next 3.0 model, coming out with a whatever, model that is specialized in a certain area. But you also have another part of the market that's focused on commercializing it at a lower price point, getting it into more products, spending less money on how to train the models versus the really expensive dollars that go into training the really large foundational models. So while we talk about the things that are in the news, oftentimes those are the things that are pushing the edge of what models can do. And when you hear about things like hardware and what NVIDIA is doing, some of that is trying to push it more into the consumer side of it as well. So I think you have to kind of look at this as a spectrum, right? What you're talking about are very much of where this is evolving to, and that will make its way into newer and newer models that are more accessible to everyone. Right now it's in a few, and the next set of features or capabilities are more, reasoning like or what it is. We'll kind of see that advance continuing and continuing.
Agreed. I think
I
so.
think I think people are still struggling with this whole probabilistic versus deterministic conversation though when it comes to this stuff, because if I have a workflow that's built around agents and I have this workflow that I need to be done the same way every time, and it has to be 100% accurate each time, then the AI agent doesn't quite get there every time, and it doesn't give me the same answer the same way every time. So a lot of businesses are trying to figure out,
Right.
where do I insert that into a workflow where I have to have it do the same thing over and over again? So I'm not quite clear how that's all going to come together, but I think when I talk to people, that's where all the experimentation is right now.
I think just the general, large language model that'll do general purpose does everything is part of the problem with that, Mike, is what we'll need and what we see is models, LLMs, et cetera, that are special. We'll have agents that are good at certain things, right? Not every agent's going to be good at updating your software and picking up your socks, right? There'll be specialized tasks, domains, areas that they have to be very good at, and both the inputs and the outputs responses have to be tuned within a set of parameters of how specific, how consistent or not does it have to be, because you can make the output consistent out of these models, or at least more consistent. Right now, they're not programmed to do that. You'll get a different answer giving the same prompt to a 3.0 or a 1.0 model, of ChatGPT all the time. It's kind of like mom and dad. If you don't like dad's answer, go ask mom, or vice versa, right? You ask it again and you'll get a different answer that maybe that's more helpful or useful.
I'm reminded of a lesson I learned when I was at a company called Interliant. We were what they call an ASP, application service provider, in the .com days. And we were trying to sell hosted versions of Oracle apps and PeopleSoft and Onyx and, enterprise apps of the day. Lotus Notes was a big one. And the lesson we learned there is that you're never going to get those apps 100% to be 100% of what you want out of the box. The best you shoot for is 80, 85%. And then you got to tune the other 15% or so. And that was a pro serve gig. We found out. We started buying pro service companies. I think we're going to find the same thing with off the shelf LLMs, right? And look, there's going to be the hyperscaler LLMs, I call them, and they'll probably be owned by the usual suspects in the hyperscaler crowd. But then there's going to be smaller LLMs, specific LLMs, agentic kind of things that Mitchell's talking about. And even those are going to there'll only be 85%. You're going to need to fine tune 10, 15% in there to make them perfect for you. And the folks that figure out how to get that 85% and how to make it easy to tune in the other 15 will be winners. Right?
I think we're going to see some more companies that specialize in that, like in bespoke LLMs unique for companies. We'll see more companies that specialize in that.
I think that's already happening, right? Anyway, it's exciting times. It's only January, 8th, and we're already rocking and rolling with this stuff. I thought 2024 was where the AI conversation sucked everything up, but maybe not. We'll come back tomorrow to discuss this. Lisa, we're looking forward to your output or your update on Friday. Sulagna, you get to wear your colors now. This is you're an official gang member, having done your first show.
Okay.
Great article, by the way, Sulagna. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, very well written.
Amanda, Happy New Year. Stay warm out there in San Angelo, Texas, in the big country. Mitch, Mike, I hopefully will see you tomorrow here on Techstrong Gang, along with some more gang members. Until then, this is Alan Schimmel. We've got a full day of Techstrong TV, so stay tuned for that. But for now, that'll call a wrap on Wednesday. Techstrong Gang, we're out.